A very good afternoon to everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Another cold morning out there with temperatures in the 20s once again. Before I go into the forecast, I just want to talk about something that we're doing here at 48. We do this 3-degree guarantee now when it comes to the temperatures. And it's not something we do to toot our own horn. We do it because there's like a fundraiser. There's like proceeds that are going to organizations. And Frontier Foundation and Crawl Space, they donate $25 each day we get it right. We've had a good month. We've had 26 of 28 days correct so far. We have 2 days left. And so far, $675 this month raised for the Manna House, which is really fantastic. And each month we'll have a different target donation recipient as we go into the rest of the year. So we're going to be doing this all year long. There's going to be times when it gets really tricky. We had a couple challenges this month when cold fronts were coming through like right around midnight, and it was kind of like, okay, the high's at like midnight. But pretty awesome. And even the 2 days that we missed, we're only a degree off. So all the funds go to the Manna House this month, and it's up to $675. Hopefully we can hit these last 2 days, 30th and 31st. Going to be forecasting obviously really cold temperatures, not so much today, but for tomorrow. And the high temperature tomorrow should be pretty easy because the temperature is hardly going to move all day, and the high probably will be what ends up happening around midnight. And so hopefully we can add another $50 and get it up to $725 for the month, which is almost as high as it can be. I mean, the highest we could have hit this month would be $775. So it's always a good thing, and glad to be part of it. All right, let's talk about the forecast. 48 first alert weather day again for tomorrow. Obviously, last weekend was the winter storm and the really cold temperatures on Sunday night, Monday, the snow globe on Monday morning. No accumulation with the snow. It just looked like a snow globe outside. The snow was very light and fluffy and didn't have much water content to it. So the wind was like blowing it around, and it was like being literally in a snow globe. That could happen again tonight with our next blast of Arctic air coming in. And speaking of a little return on the radar, you see some blue there. I checked the Gunnersville camera. I saw sunshine. So whatever the radar is picking up there in Fort Payne and Albertville, just to the east there as you work your way through DeKalb County down towards Weiss Lake, that probably isn't really flurries. It's probably more some sprinkles because the temperatures right now are not bone-chilling cold. They were chilly this morning. Don't get me wrong. We had a lot of 20s out there. But we have warmed up above freezing for most locations. And where those returns are coming back on the radar, we're about 38, 39, 40. So I would imagine it's more like a sprinkle. If it is a snowflake, it's a very wet snowflake that's kind of turning into water as it hits. And overall, just a very light precipitation, if anything, falling right now across the area. But as we go through the day today, clouds will increase, and we'll get into a little bit higher chance of some solid flurries that come through the area sometime later today, evening, overnight. The snow, like on Monday, will be extremely dry, so it's going to get blown around by the wind. Probably not going to impact your drives if you're overnight driving or early morning Saturday. This is not that kind of event. Even though the snow is something you'll see, it's the cold and the winds that you're going to feel more and will probably have much more of an impact on you personally tonight, tomorrow morning, and even into Saturday night. So the temperatures themselves will be dropping. Wind chill values on Saturday, 0 to 10. And it's not just like morning cold. It's all day long. The winds are going to be really gusty. 35, 40 miles an hour. Your temperature's stuck in the low to mid 20s all day. And overall, it's just a really blustery day is the best way to describe it. That's how we're going to end January. Been chilly to close out the month. Remember back in Christmas when we were hitting 60s and 70s and everybody on Facebook was like, we're going to pay for this. Yeah, we are. We always get like that 1 or 2 weeks of like really cold, wintry precipitation kind of thing going on here. And then it warms back up again. Hopefully that will happen in February when we get to about the second week. We'll see how it goes. But for now, cold weather advisory Friday night. It kicks in tonight and goes all the way till Sunday. The counties that are not shaded in the light blue are actually have a more extreme cold. And I should add that to the graphic. It's counties that technically aren't in our viewing area, but we still have people who watch us from there. But just know that it's going to be really cold as we go into Friday and the weekend. We've talked about it at length all week long. Here's the potential wind gust. So where you see the yellows and reds, that's going to be where the winds are usually a little bit stronger. and I'll take you through the timeline on it. But first, I want to say hi to Chase, and I want to say hi to Kirsten. Good to see you both on. I actually have the chat open up so I can see it. I can answer any questions if you have any. Chase says it's nice, bright and sunny here. He lives in Northwest Alabama. And yeah, I went home for a second, grabbed some food, and the sun actually felt pretty good. I took the dogs out, and it really didn't feel so bad. But that's all going to change tonight. Here's the winds. So this afternoon, the winds will start picking up, and that will be your signal at home that the Arctic air is diving south. Again, a few flurries, and I'll show you the future radar here in a moment. But your wind gust up to about 20 miles an hour by 6 p.m., and it's only just begun at that point. When you're trying to sleep tonight, that wind will be rocking, and any loose windows you have, it'll be rattling around. Make sure if you have a pet outside, please bring the pet indoors. Protect your pipes. You want your faucets to go. Drip, 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 drip going on, not just tonight, but probably right through Sunday night. The winds will continue to increase, too. They're not backing off anytime soon. So the windiest conditions with our next blast of Arctic air will likely be from about 6 a.m. to noon tomorrow. Could easily see a wind gust up to 40 miles an hour. Would not be surprised if a wind advisory. I'm not the cold weather advisory. I'm assuming that incorporates the winds, but I mean, normally if we have winds like this, it would be a wind advisory if it wasn't cold. So I'm assuming that covers all of it. But nonetheless, the winds will be quite gusty. In fact, peaking during the noontime hour with those gusts close to 40 miles an hour, the direction will be out of the north and west. And that's just going to make it feel brutal outside. If you're like going outside tomorrow and you're doing some shopping or whatever, and you come out that store and that wind hits you in the face, you're going to be like, it's going to be awful. I have a very, very busy day tomorrow, so I am going to be out and about, and I'm going to be actually at Weiss Lake tomorrow, and I imagine it is going to be brutal off the lake with those winds. Oh gosh, I'm looking so forward to it. Hi, Davey, how you doing? Thanks for saying hello. And Darlene's on. I'm good with the cold. This flu isn't going to allow me to go anywhere. Darlene, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. It is going around right now. I was battling a cold last week. I didn't get the flu, but I hope you feel better soon. I guess a good excuse to stay inside and get yourself better with a lot of chicken noodle soup, if you're into chicken noodle soup. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Chase says, drip both the cold and hot sides. That's some great advice. I just had a plumber tell me that the other day. He had to come to my house because I had a little issue in one of my bathrooms. And he said, drip both. Okay. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you on. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Let's go back to the winds. They will continue and eventually subside by Sunday and not be as strong for the second half of the weekend. Now, Brad put together a snow graphic last night, and many of you talking about the snow more than the cold and the wind, but it's the snow that will obviously get everyone's attention when you see a snow graphic. If you're going to pick up an inch or two, it would be in the blue area. One of the forecast models that we kind of base this graphic on moved the snow a bit more east tonight. But nonetheless, I mean, any kind of snow makes news in the South. And even if it's just some festive flakes that fly around and don't really amount to much, they're still falling and everyone sees them. It's like the truth that you see it, meaning that the cold is coming in. And then the wind and the cold will hit you tomorrow. So it does not look like the snow will have a big impact on any kind of travel plans overnight or into tomorrow morning. And it really, truly is more about the cold and the wind that's coming in that will have a lasting effect on the day on Saturday. So this afternoon, I forward this to 3:30. You see a little white there showing up in the northeast area. You'll see a little bit of white blobs every once in a while through about 10 p.m. and then into the overnight hours. Again, this is not like widespread. Everybody's getting snow at the same time. This will literally be some, I call it festive flakes that are going to be just racing through the area during the overnight. Any flurry activity that lingers on Saturday morning when I'm on air chatting with you about the radar and about the cold temperatures and the wind, they should come to an end by about 9 o'clock in the morning. And then it's just a really brutally cold day with limited sunshine. It'll be mainly cloudy. And if we could just pop a little sunshine tomorrow, it would go a long way to maybe making it feel just a little bit better. But there's going to be a lot of clouds to go along with the cold and the wind, and that's just going to make it just feel even colder outside. And you can see even by 8 p.m., notice on this graphic, the temperatures really don't move. Once we drop back to around 20 after midnight tonight, we pretty much stay there all day tomorrow. And then you throw in the winds on top of it. Sustained winds about 15 to 20, gusts like, 35, 40. So just a nasty day. It'll get better, though. It gets better. Hi, Kathy. You're very welcome. Kathy, thank you for watching and following. Tamara, oh my goodness, I miss you. How are you doing? It is so good to see you. So looking forward to some snow flurries. Hey, if you like the snow flurries, this is your forecast. If you don't like the snow flurries, turn away. It's good to see you. I miss chatting with you. Sarah says, does this month of February typically get snow? It's part of winter, so yep, it can get snow. Your winter months are usually going to be the ones that focus on the snow, December, January, February. Sometimes history has allowed snow to fall here in March and even April. Here, that's very rare, but north, that can happen very easily in March. April, maybe not as much, but it just depends on where you are. So, Alexandria, I saw one comment right there. I saw the hashtag. That's all I needed to see. I miss your face. I hope all is well. Okay. Alexandria is my very, very good friend from Rhode Island. She says, good morning, weatherman. And that hashtag is awesome. I've always missed that hashtag since I moved here. But anyway, good to see you. Alexandria, you're cold up in Rhode Island. I've been watching y'all. You're getting some snow, and it's been like 0. Like, wow, what's going on up there? You got another one coming this weekend. The same storm system that's going to actually lock in the cold for us and bring the festive flakes here to the area tonight. It's a monster storm. Like, I think it's called like bombogenesis is what they will call it. I don't know if it's going to have true bombogenesis. It just means a really deepening and strengthening of a low pressure that's going to be off the coast. And all it means for you at home is it produces a lot of precipitation, and in this case, snow. And it could be for like not just like places that usually get snow, but North Carolina and the mountains, yes, but all the way to the coast. Like even like Cape Hatteras could pick up some snow with this. And that snow may wrap around the low all the way down to like Charleston, South Carolina, which is very odd. And the impacts on New England still a bit uncertain, but my point to tell you this is that this storm is going to make national news over the weekend. They're going to be talking, 27 gazillion people impacted by winter cold and stuff like that. And, it's another one of those storms, maybe not quite the scope, the one we had last week that impacted so much of the U.S. with adversity. This one might be confined more to the East Coast with like snow and ice, but most of the U.S. behind the system is just going to be frigid and like the coldest era of the season thus far. That's what we said last week. And then this weekend, Mother Nature topped it with even a colder day for tomorrow. It's good to see you, Tamara. I always love talking with you. Kayla says, my kids are ready to see some snowflakes, even if it's just flurries in Higdon. Hey, an area here that doesn't really get a lot of snow, and when you get it, if you're into snow, if you're into that sort of thing, even just the flurries themselves are pretty cool. It's not happening at a good bedtime for the kids, though. If it happens overnight, it'd be nice if it was during the day, like that Monday morning snow globe thing that was going on. Everybody could see that. But Alexandra says, it's freezing. Chad says, festive flakes or snow squalls. I think it's more just flurries. I don't think it's really snow squalls with this one. And with 30 miles an hour winds, it's going to reduce visibility for sure. It's not going to accumulate. The snow is going to be so light and has no water content to it. So as it hits the roads, it's going to get blown off the roads, much like the festive flakes on Monday. But overall, it's not going to be a huge impact for the roads themselves. It's just going to be festive. You're going to see it outside, and that's about it. What it could do with 30-mile-an-hour winds is maybe reduce visibility a little bit, and I've talked about that on our 48 blog that we have on our webpage. But like if you're driving overnight, it's dark, and then you get into one of those like flurries, like a little snow shower. I can't say squall; it's not going to be a squall. But I think what happens is you can reduce visibility quickly, and that could be a problem overnight too, especially when you're driving when it's dark outside. But overall, snow impact will be minimal. Christy says, I'm jealous because 2 places I lived in are getting good snow. When we lived in eastern North Carolina, it snowed good almost every year. Yeah, the Carolina is a very interesting place. It can have a jackpot winter storm once a year. I've never worked there. I've worked in a lot of markets, but not there. But I do follow a gentleman that actually is the chief there, and he does a great job explaining winter weather, and I always follow him for knowledge. And he's talking about how it's going to be a really tricky forecast for North Carolina because there's going to be some pockets that have some really high totals, and there's going to be some areas that probably feel a little let down with the overall snow amounts. But all the way to the coast on this one, though, Cape Hatteras. And one area that could really jackpot is like Southeast Virginia, like Newport News area. Virginia Beach could pick up probably some of the highest. It's just, it's all depending on the low pressure in the track. And when you're talking about a coastal low like that, just a deviation of a couple miles north and south can make a big difference on who gets the snow and who doesn't, or who gets a lower amount or who gets a higher amount, right? So, but yeah, that's it. I'm done. I talk about the 10-day forecast. Gosh, pains me to talk about snow. I moved south so I wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. I haven't really had to deal with it much since I moved here. We get like one token little event every year and then it goes away. So, but Sunday, if you go to church services, first off, if you're going to the Havoc game tonight or tomorrow, bundle up. It's going to be really cold. And on Sunday, if you're going to church services in the morning, the earlier you go in the morning, obviously the colder it will be. By the afternoon Sunday, what will be nice, a couple things take place. I know 35 still looks really cold, and I get it. But should be more sunshine than Saturday and should be a lot less wind than Saturday. And that should go a long way to making it feel at least a little bit better for you. Overall, not a great day, but it's not as brutal as Saturday will be. Really cold Sunday night, and then back to the 40s for Groundhog Day. Around here, it's Possum Day. And then a few showers come in Tuesday, but that's a pretty strong what we call warm air advection. So we should get back to a normal high temperature. Keep in mind, too, the typical high temperature for our area this time of year, at least in Huntsville at the airport, is 53 degrees. 54, I think now, actually. We haven't even come close to that. Like, it's been, like, really cool. So 52 would be kind of back to normal, so to speak. But it comes with some showers, and the rain will continue Wednesday, on and off scattered rain showers, temperatures in the 40s. And then you get this little brief cool down on Thursday, and then looks like early call for next weekend. Right now, not so bad. Not every forecast model is quite that aggressive in the low 50s. There's a few forecast models that keep us in the mid 40s, but still nonetheless, it looks like we'll have more sun and clouds, and overall next weekend looks to be a lot better in terms of temperature. It won't be nearly as frigid, so we won't run 3 weekends in a row of winter weather, frigid temperatures, and stuff like that. So Sarah says, are we going to get power outages? Asks her son, Daniel. I think anytime you have wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour, you have to consider it. Sometimes we'll have wind gusts like 35 to 40 after a really heavy rain and the ground is incredibly soft, and it can very easily topple over power outages, power lines. It can sideways them. We had that happen on December 18th, actually. The winds weren't really that strong with thunderstorms, but it was just enough with a soggy ground that the power lines all did this, and then the lines come down. What will happen with this is that the winds being gusty to 40 is a concern, but the ground should harden up a little bit, and that could actually help us. We'll see how it plays out, but anytime you have winds up to 35, 40, I would imagine that there would be the potential for a few power outages, but I don't think it will be widespread. We caught a break with the winter storm. We didn't really have that many power outages last weekend, which was good. So we'll cross fingers and toes that it doesn't get out of control, but I don't think it will be a huge issue with this. As will the snow not be a huge issue. This is really truly just bundle up blustery cold with really gusty winds for the first alert weather day Saturday. And a lot of the forecast models today actually even bringing even the flurry activity to our east more than here. So it depends on which one you want to go with. Some of the high-res models that were excited about some flurry activity, more widespread flurry activity yesterday, have really moved everything east, and it doesn't really look like it's going to be an issue for our area in terms of roads or anything like that. So we should be all right. But TVL kicks off at 11 o'clock. That's Tennessee Valley Living with Peyton Walker. And I will be here, probably get one weather hit during that. And then with the noon show, Gina Benitez and myself will have the latest on not only the forecast with me, but she'll have all your news stories breaking this morning. There was a terrible fire in Madison. We'll have more coverage on that as well. We'll have an update on that story. I'll continue to give weather hits during the noon show until about 1 o'clock. And then I'm out of here. Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis will be in, and he'll have the very latest on the weather change for tonight and tomorrow. And then I'm back tomorrow morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for a 5 a.m. newscast, and I'll be hopefully tracking cold temperatures and wind. And I say hopefully because that means the forecast is right, and maybe even a few flurries. We'll see how it impacts the area. Again, not a big impact, but as Chas said, He thinks the festive flakes and snow squalls with 30 miles an hour will be very impactful. But we will find out tomorrow morning because I will be here for it. Everybody have a fantastic day. Stay warm. Have some fun tomorrow. If you go outside, cover up face, cover up hands, whatever you want to do. I'll probably go, like tomorrow I'm in Weiss Lake, and I promise you when I hit like one of the restaurants for lunch in the afternoon, I will see somebody in shorts. It's a no-brainer. Somebody will be in shorts for sure. Always like that. And that's okay. You do you, boo. If you want to wear shorts on a 22-degree day, fire it up, buddy. You're good to go. But I'm going to wear like 3 layers, and I'm going to wear like 2 layers of pants. I'm going to wear my little hat. I'm going to stay warm tomorrow. That wind on the lake tomorrow is going to be ruthless. All right. Y'all have a very good day. We'll talk soon, okay?
Every day, I know you love her in a pouring rain.